Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about ibonds and treasuries. I want to talk about the current rates, how the formulas work, and kind of when to use what. So let's go ahead and take a look at Treasury Direct where we can see the current ibond rates. And right now it's at 4.3%. And not that long ago, it was at 9.62%. So let me show you how this formula works and kind of give you some insight as to should you buy ibonds. Now, they're made up of a fixed rate and an inflation rate. The fixed rate stays the same for the life of the bond. The inflation rate adjusts every 6 months. So how does that work? If we scroll down and we skip this formula right here, which I'm going to come back to in a minute, we can look at the fixed rate. Scroll all the way back up to the current rates. So when we saw originally those 9.62% ibonds, they were actually all from the inflation rate, not the fixed rate. The fixed rate was actually at 0, and it was at 0 for a while, and it's currently at 0.9, so less than 1%. That is the fixed rate. So if you bought that bond that's at 4.3% today, the fixed side would stay fixed at 0.9. So you could not get less than 0.9, but that inflation rate could drop. And if it was at 0, then you would get 0.9. Now, if we take a look at the inflation rate, go down a little bit further, we could see that, again, that bond we were talking about, that 9.62%, was at 4.81%. You might be, wait a second, what? That doesn't make any sense. It's for 6 months. So when we put this into the composite, then this 4.81% becomes 9.62%, basically doubling it. So we'll look at that in just a second, but the current inflation rate is at 1.69%. So what this does to that bond that was at 4.81% with the inflation rate before, it actually does drop it to 1.69%. So let's look at the formula to see how this works. So that bond that we saw previously had a fixed rate of 0%, but that inflation rate was at 4.81%. So if we did that math, that's going to bring it to 9.62%. By the way, here's the composite rate, or the rate on that bond that you're currently receiving. So it's at 9.62%. So the current bond that we have with a fixed rate of 0.9, plug that in there, and then we drop that to 1.6, what was it, 63? Is that what it was? No, it wasn't. 1.69. 1.69 brings it to our 4.3%. So what happens to that other bond that's now at 1.69%, that it was originally at 9.62%, that drops to 3.38%. So said again, here's the rate chart. I'll show you very clearly. It was at 9.62%, but then because the inflation part dropped, it went to 6.48% and then dropped further to that 3.38%. And that's because that fixed rate is at 0%. Whereas the fixed rate for the current ibond is at 0.9 plus that inflation rate gives it 4.3%. So the current rate is better because of that fixed rate. But if we flip over to the treasuries, treasuries look a little bit more attractive right now. So if we look at these treasuries, which we have to hold for a lot shorter, because that's what a treasury bill is, you can either have a 4, a 26, or a 13. See a 17 in there too. So if we look at these, and we have a 52 as well. But if we look at this 13-week, look at that. You can get 5.43%, a 26-week, or a 6-month 5.504%. And we only have to hold it for 26 weeks. And this is the annualized rate at 5.504%. In comparing the ibonds to the treasury bills, the ibonds, you can get in at a good rate like we saw last year at 9.62%, but because there's that variable rate to it, that rate could drop, and that's also what we saw on those same ibonds. You can only buy up to $10,000 directly or an additional $5,000 using your tax refund, bringing that total to $15,000 per year. You have to hold them for at least 12 months. If you want your money back early after 12 months, you're going to give up 3 months worth of your interest. Where on the treasury bills, because they're bills, that means they're under 1 year, you're going to see durations or time frames anywhere from as short as 4 weeks up to 52 weeks. And that rate stays the same for the life of the treasury bill. So that makes more sense for an emergency fund or a cash reserve. But as far as a long-term investment, neither really makes sense, especially when you're comparing it to something like the S&P 500. So that's how I-bonds and treasury bills work and the rates that we're currently experiencing. If you have any questions on this stuff, let me know in the comments down below. And if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and we'll see you on the next one.